Good evening and welcome to the Channel Studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. US President Joe Biden has warned Russian leader Vladimir Putin about election meddling in their first call as counterparts. That's according to the White House. The conversation also included a discussion about the ongoing opposition protests in Russia over the arrest of Alexei Navalny. A Kremlin statement did not refer to any points of friction, saying the call was businesslike and frank. Both leaders reportedly signalled a willingness to renew the country's last remaining nuclear deal, which was signed under the Obama administration. Survivors of the Auschwitz concentration camp have marked the 76th anniversary of its liberation by Soviet troops. The annual commemorations usually see survivors from around the globe join world leaders in commemorating the more than 1 million victims killed by the Nazis in the gas chambers of the camp or by starvation and disease. In 2019, Auschwitz was visited by around 2.3 million people, but the memorial is currently closed to visitors. In a speech, the Pope said people need to keep a close watch on ideological extremism, warning these things can happen once again. Indian police have detained 200 protesters following Tuesday's deadly violence in the capital Delhi during a massive protest against agricultural reforms. Thousands of farmers clashed with police as protesters on the outskirts of the city forced their way in. One demonstrator has died and more than 300 police officers have been injured. Farmers' leaders said they would not call off the protests, blaming the chaos on rogue elements among an otherwise peaceful march. Those detained are being held on charges of rioting, damaging public property and attacking police personnel. Despite the pandemic, almost 2/3 of people around the world now view climate change as a global emergency. The survey was organised by Oxford University and the United Nations, using pop-up questionnaires on online games like Angry Birds to solicit answers from hard-to-reach groups, including those too young to vote. The survey included responses from more than 1.2 million people in 50 countries, the largest survey ever on climate change. Close to 70% of the people under 18 believe climate change is a global emergency versus 58% of those over 60. The United Nations Development Programme said this showed a groundswell of support for ambitious climate action that world leaders should take on board. Hundreds of protesters have clashed with soldiers in the Lebanese city of Tripoli as they demonstrate against worsening economic conditions amid a nationwide lockdown. Hundreds of people took part in street battles with soldiers in tanks demanding help to stay at home. Many say lockdown is increasing poverty as the country is juggling the need to save lives as well as livelihoods. However, the crisis is particularly acute in Lebanon, where the pandemic comes on top of a financial collapse and the huge port blast back in August. In Indonesia, volcano Mount Merapi on Java Island has erupted, prompting authorities to warn of the risk of lava flows reaching roads. Video posted on social media captured hot clouds of ash rolling down the side of the volcano. Indonesia's Volcanology and Geological Hazard Mitigation Centre warned of a danger of lava, saying Mount Merapi had spewed quite intense hot clouds at least 30 times since Wednesday morning. There were no immediate reports of any damage. And finally, a revolutionary French project of a sailing boat aims to clean plastic from the oceans.
Last version of the boat Montard from
French skipper Yvan Bourgenon and his NGO, the Sea Cleaners, presented a model of a boat that self-recycles collected plastic trash from seas. Due to be built later this year, the boat uses renewable energy, partly from the processing of collectible plastic trash, to function autonomously. Mr. Bourgenon developed the vessel, which he says can sail the world's oceans, scooping up plastic rubbish to stop it ruining the marine environment, and then converts the waste into fuel to help power the boat. The skipper said if 400 of the boats were to be made, they could clean up 1/3 of the plastic debris in the oceans. And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the Channel Studios in Lagos.